Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 51st Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with co-host Kalem Moses, and we may have Andrew Normand drop in later on. Today's topic is emotional sobriety and inner strength. Kalem, would you like to just start off on these two topics, and then I'll say something on them too, and we can go to the questions?
Yeah, for sure. Emotional sobriety. Well, the truth is when we come into recovery, the thing is you hear all the slogans and the little mantras and different things like that. And the truth is when you come into this recovery, it also begins your discovery. You begin to really uncover who you're not and start discovering who you really are. And along with that comes with a heap of emotions. Um, you know, one of the things that is big tying in with recovery is trauma. And the thing is as when we're kids and even a little bit older than childs, but 10, 12 years old, a lot of things that we could go through, we actually, because it's so damaging and so heavy, we could actually go and block that out of our memory, completely swipe it out. And through recovery, if you're pressing in the way that we are suggested to, a lot of these memories, everything's going to start coming back. And you know what? Anyone in recovery, I really pray and I hope that you guys do experience that. Not because I want you to experience hurt or anything like that, but I want you to experience the freedom that it brings from allowing you to push through those things. Because as we're older, we begin to have a little bit more um uh, capability of having the strength needed to push through those traumas. And I just recently been through some trauma in the middle of a storm that I haven't had at all in my recovery, and first time in my marriage, and all these type of things. And I kid you not, like, it's like being in the eye of a tornado. There's so much uncertainty, you can't see anything. But the beautiful thing about being in the eye of a tornado is that you can at times get a glimpse of that beautiful sun right at the very top. And if that's where your focus is, it doesn't have to be as scary. It doesn't have to be hurting as much. The thing is I have today a relationship with God of my understanding that can give me that inner strength to be able to push through rather than dig my head into the sand, which I'm used to doing. And I know I'm not the only one. When adversity and pain and suffering and these type of things, that traumas and stuff like that, come face to face with us, most times it is our survival instinct to dig our head into the sand and say, no, not today. But I promise you, if you find that higher power, whatever you want to call it, you find the strength that it can give you, and you push through it, you end up getting that freedom. And that freedom, I wouldn't exchange it for anything in the world. That freedom, there's nothing like it. I kid you not. I have had some of the 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 greatest freedom that I've had my entire life in just this last month. And has it been just a walk in the park? Of course not, right? But that is, so when I hear emotional sobriety, that's what I think. I think I get an opportunity to learn that there's no such thing as a bad feeling. But at the same time, I've also learned that I can't rely on my feelings, because just because my feelings are there and they're not bad to have doesn't mean that they're true. Doesn't mean that they're right. Right. So through that, um, there's a lot of growth and understanding. And when you begin to understand this, you can begin to understand many other people, because we're not so different from just even normal people out there. People that haven't fell into addiction and these type of things still struggle with all this stuff. And so you begin to have a heart and compassion and empathy for these people, that you can see that hurt, you can see all that stuff, right? And so um yeah, I guess I was also talking on inner strength as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say about that. What do you have to share on that?
So, Andrew, you rolled in here.
What's up, boys?
I introduced. P.S. I love you.
Love you.
Today's topic
Times two.
is
Times two.
emotional sobriety and inner strength. Would you just like to comment on those two things now, and then then I'll start a question to Kalem after I respond as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good morning, fellas. Good to see
Morning.
y'all. Sorry I had to pop in here a couple minutes late.
Glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad. Good to be here. Good to be here, man. Without the want to use, man, and talk to you guys, man. I love you guys so much. Inner strength, man, and emotional sobriety is a good topic, man. When y'all came to me with this topic, a lot of things just kind of flooded over my mind. And I was listening to you, Caleb, just kind of as I was coming in here, you know, self-reflection, and a lot of that stuff you're talking about leads to that self-acceptance that we talk about a lot, right, Milan? Acceptance of self. And where does that inner strength come from? When we're getting clean, because we're not on substances anymore, It's about being able to properly practice self-reflection, right? You gotta be able to look at yourself in a way where obviously we're not it, guys, right? We're kind of figuring this out at this point, that we're not it. And so being able to kind of let go of, man, we got a lot of baggage, man. I do. I got a lot of baggage, right? And so I'm trying to practice mindfulness, right? I got to practice being mindful in every situation, because I can do really good for a long time, and then I can make one bad decision, and it just takes everything that I've done, and it just throws it out the window. Because we talk about this a lot, where we've lost the benefit of the doubt to in people's minds, right? And like we've come out and we've let it be known, hey, we're drug addicts, and we had lost that benefit of the doubt before we even said that, right? And so we're making up for lost time here, in terms of our loved ones and whatever new relationships with ourselves and other people, in and outside of the rooms, right? There's different layers to it. And so being able to set and achieve goals based on where my inner strength is and what it is, and being able to identify that in a healthy way today is a lot harder than you think, right? And so as we start feeling these emotions again, as we're thawing out, you know, shit hits us in ways where we have to react. Maybe in a point where, we're in a meeting, we're chairing a meeting or something, and something happens, right? There's 50 people in the room, and we got to make a split decision, right? Like, where does that decision come from? Right? It needs to come from that healthy place, not from that place it used to. And so, how do I overcome those challenges, right? It's my process to get to where I pull the trigger on that decision, right? How's it going to affect my family, me, myself, my friend, my loved ones, right? When I make this decision. And it doesn't have to be all about those life-threatening situations, right? These little things, if we can kind of find the inner strength to push through certain things and to practice mindfulness instead of just trying to get through the situation, right? We can layer up all these good deeds and good things that we're doing, and it builds confidence, right? What it does is it leads to confidence in any situation. And it's not, confidence is not, hey, I'm the shit, right? Walking into a situation. It's just knowing you can walk into any situation and you have the ability to figure that shit out. That's
Yeah,
really
it's not
what confidence.
arrogance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. A lot of people don't like that word confidence gets misconstrued, I think, a lot. But and we all need self-confidence. We
And
can't walk in low with our head held low starting off. We got to have some confidence in what we're doing.
just tying to that a little bit, like through some sorry, through some of that trauma healing that I've been through, I came to realize that through that trauma as a kid, because I wasn't getting some needs met that all kids just have naturally. And it's not my parents' fault. They're broken as well and come from broken families. But that's not what my understanding is as a kid. So when as a kid, all of a sudden I begin to have a belief. I believed in a lie. I have a belief that I'm not good enough. And through this healing, all of a sudden that I'm not good enough got broken off, and I got self-worth again. And I begin to understand, hey, I'm actually worth something. And that's the confidence that you're talking about. It's not no arrogance. It's just saying that I'm not the piece of crap that I've lived my entire life to believe that I wasn't good enough to have a father or good enough to have a mother in my life. It's not true. And just standing in that confidence, that truth, it's again freedom as well.
It's
So
it's freedom, being able to wake up in the morning and have a choice.
mhm.
Look, when you wake up and don't use drugs, you have a choice today. When I
Yeah,
woke
yeah.
up and I used, I didn't have it. We don't have a choice when we wake up and we use
We're
drugs, man.
slaves.
We're
Yeah.
slaves, right? So
Mhm.
I'm freedom arrives at my doorstep in the form of choices every single morning, man. I have a choice today.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's 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 freedom. You just like you said, freedom done. It's done. I mean, hashtag freedom.
Hashtag freedom. Love it.
So for me, the emotional sobriety kind of rolls into my time in my treatment center because that was the first place that I even heard of it. And like first of all, I had to get in to my step 4, and in that, moral inventory that makes me fear less.
Yep.
It showed me. It showed me what my defects that I was using as allies for my addiction. And then one of the topics for the group that we had for the day was about prelapsing. And, and part of avoiding relapsing is identifying your precursors. And a big part of that is your emotional sobriety. Well, for me, it really is. That's all I can say. I never did anybody else's paperwork in there, but I certainly did mine. And mine said that, when like, what you learn in the step 4, and especially in the 12 by 12 book there, we're a bunch of take it too far Tonys with our emotions. We take these natural instincts and we take them too far. Like I'm gonna take it too far Tony, and that taking it too far Tony with anger, with sadness, with anxiety, with all these things is my own personal cue to say fuck it. And that
Mm.
fuck it moment results in active addiction.
Pity party
And
Milan.
oh, there's another one. Exactly. It's like, come cry with me, Andrew. I swear we got the worst lives ever. And and so for me, my level of acceptance is directly proportional to my emotional sobriety. And, if I have a high level of acceptance, I have high emotional sobriety. And if I do not, I do not. And that's when I get into trouble. And
Mm.
so, like, um, I too have had some recent struggles, and right now, what it pushes me to is to try to maintain a level of acceptance so that I'm not getting to the take it too far Tony stage. And for me, what it's really
Yep.
involved with is I've been swimming a lot. And what I've been doing is using that swimming time to pray. Like
Mm,
swimming in water in very gentle strokes is a beautiful place to kind of have like that meditative prayer happening
mm-hmm,
over and over. Like you want to talk about serenity, stroke yourself through
mm-hmm.
some warm water. Like it's true. Like,
Yeah.
come on, boy, get up, get up. And so for me, that that has been a real growth inside
Mm,
myself to be able to start my day and trying to maintain that feeling has been, definitely a tool to keep me away from it, from the fuckets. And so I've been really enjoying that facet. And then, inner strength. I mean, just having these tools and developing, that conscious contact and being present is the only way that I have inner strength. But my
mm-hmm,
inner strength is also dependent on the vessel that I'm giving the strength to be held in. And I'm really feeling that sleep, exercise, and food, I have to manage those things really well. And, one thing I'm finding is that I need to do a lot of exercise to calm myself into
mm-hmm,
into into a state where I'm not so antsy.
mm-hmm,
Like part of like uh one thing I learned about a week and a half ago is that enthusiasm is kind of like early onset anxiety. And
mm.
so and so like in my world of enthusiasm, man, you guys know I'm enthusiastic. Look at my songwriting, look at this podcast, look at like, but there's like a little dotted line where it's like, oh, there goes enthusiasm, here comes anxiety. And that anxiety,
Yeah.
and that anxiety takes me right to the future where I
Mm-hmm,
am not present anymore and have
mm-hmm.
no conscious contact. How can I get strength from my higher power if I can't even touch it and feel it and have it echoing inside me?
See,
I'm just
that's
feeling,
the interesting thing is anxiety is taking away tomorrow, but depression is keeping yesterday.
yeah.
Right? Like those two are very tied to not being in the present. And if we're not attentive on prayer and
Mhm.
being in conscious contact with God, then it's so easy to fall into either state because both are kind
Mm.
of trying to come at us constantly. But
Mm.
I wanted to relate with you for one second, not to
Yeah,
cut you
go
off,
for it. I'm
but
not, I don't feel cut, so it's all good, brother.
um, one thing that I came to realize in this last even month is my greatest time talking and prayer and with God and even meditating, I found has been when I was working out. My workouts be and now given the fact like I'm not working right now because of my situation, so I have excessive time, right? While
Mm.
the kids are at school, I can spend, but my one and a bit hour of working out turned into like 2.5, almost 3 hours because I'm spending more time in prayer and meditating while I'm doing it. And but it's been so very clear, like it hasn't been before. It was like he was really sharing this personal growth time for myself where I was didn't go intentively to think, hey, I'm gonna go talk to God here. I went there to go get healthier physically, but it tied into not just am I physically getting healthier, but spiritually and mentally, emotionally. When I was going through that heartbreak, he said, give me your heart and I won't break it. I won't give you that pain. I'll protect it. I'll guard it. And when I chose to, if I literally felt that heaviness that I was wearing for some time being taken off of me. That's during when I was working out, dude. Like tell me who gets that kind of experience when you're there pumping the weights, bro?
You know
It's
what you're
like,
doing when you're working out, though? You know what you're doing? You're actively working on your breathing while you're working out. You have to
that's true.
breathe properly when you're working out. And what do we talk about? We talk about that our breathing controls our thoughts,
Yeah,
right? So when you're
it's good.
working out, you don't have a choice but not to breathe properly, right? If you're pumping
Yeah.
weights, you're getting that blood pumping. And so let's say you're coming off, you're not using any substances, you're working out, right? So we're kind of consciously contacted, and we're doing a little literature, reading a little literature, right? Learning about ourselves, little self-awareness. And so that's where our mind is hopefully going to go as we're
Yeah.
working out, and we're breathing in that conscious contact, and we're doing the right things. That's where our mind should naturally go to. And it's kind of like, you know um misery loves company. But then on the opposite side of that, like, as we're coming out of this, if we go positive with it, we can really make ourselves a lot better. And that works into the prelapse thing you're talking about, and that maintenance, Milan. And then you even touched on it too, Milan.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm is like the common cold. Like we have to stay enthusiastic about this program, because if not, like, we're gonna fall by the wayside. Look, we can go and go and go and go, and then it's gonna be like, okay, one bad week will come, and we'll just
Look at how Wendy's enthusiasm after 32 years brought a relapse for her. Like,
like that.
I
She's living under a bridge like that.
boom, and that's exactly it. Like, we are built as take it too far Tonys, but I'm really seeing, like, and it's not to have a comparison with anybody else. This is a comparison I'm drawing right now with myself. Is that right when I started getting clean, I was really unhealthy. Like, my heart had stopped, my body was on the shutdown cycle. Okay, and then I definitely started with eating too many treats. I probably put on 20 pounds, and then I started to taper that. But I also started to try to focus more on my sleep. I quit smoking. Like, I don't drink coffee now. I only drink tea, and like, the thing for me is that all these things have put me in such a better headspace on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I might still be full of all my defects, but I'm not living in them in the same, like, 2 to 4 day funks that would happen
Mm.
before. And
Mm.
and it's just, like, we really, like, it's like you don't take an old Honda to the Indy 500 and expect to race. Like, if we're
Slap some
running
new
higher.
stickers on that bitch and go.
Hey, Andrew, could you drop your mic level just a hair? It's overdriving compared to, like, it's actually like grinding on my side, and I just want to make
Is
sure
that
that
better? Is
for
that better?
yeah, I
Yeah, that's pretty
just
crisp.
for the audience, I just think,
Yeah, man.
like, when it grates like that digitally, it
I can't
makes it
hear
hard.
it.
But
Thank you.
yeah, no, I know. So it's perfect now. Actually, I love it. Thank you for doing that. Um, anyway, I'm gonna jump right into a question here, and I'm gonna ask
Yeah.
Caleb, and then I'll go to you, Andrew. Okay, fear gives us a chance to act with courage. When we stand up to face what's wrong and deal with it to the best of our abilities, we may not feel very brave at all. But these are the moments at which serve us as the most powerful testimony to what is possible in NA. We're demonstrating strength of character. How do you see this as an opportunity for courage for you, Caleb?
Well, through my process of recovery, I've came to understand how one for myself, I guess, overcomes fear. And God told me, um, through our personal time together, he said, my perfect love casts away all fear. Right. And so when I'm facing something fearful, it's because I have a lack of understanding of how much I'm loved by God. And so when I can understand that and realize that and be aware of this is, for me, this is the truth, then if I'm facing something fearful, it allows me to go into that place and say, okay, and focus on his love on me. And by focusing that love come on to me, and not only onto me, but in me, it gives me the confidence, the courage to push through whatever it is, because I realize in the end, it doesn't matter. The world is very good at shaking everything in your face. Actually, I'll share this real quick. There was he actually gave me a real life parable in the moment, and it was so beautiful because it was tied to me and my daughter. So me and my daughter, we're at the fair, and this is her first time she can go on the bigger kid rides. So she sees the zipper. I don't know if you guys know what the zipper is, but the zipper is a pretty crazy ride that goes spit. The whole ride itself spins around like this, and you're in these little boxes, and they spin around real fast like
Yep.
this, and they
Oh, yeah.
so my daughter's like, I want to go on that. And I'm like, all right, let's go on that. And she's super excited this whole time. And then we get to the very top. And then next thing you know, it drops. And there was absolute fear just come over her. And she was absolutely just terrified. Did not know what she got herself into. And she's freaking out to the point like there was no stopping her. She was like almost convulsing, like it got real bad. Naturally, what I did was I put my hand over her and I just braced her back, and I said, honey, just focus on me, just look at me, just focus yourself on me. I said, it's okay, it's all good. I know it's scary, but just focus on me. We're gonna be okay. And the beautiful thing was, he right at that moment, God said, how do you think you are in life? And he said, what do you think I'm trying to say to you when you're going through life? That cage, that ride is life. It does everything in its power to flip us, turn us, spin us, all of these things. And it can be fearful. It can be, I could be afraid, not knowing what's to come. But if I just focus, again, to me, it was, if I just focus on that love, then the fear seems to go away. And it like you said, it allows me to have the courage to push through, and not only that, be able to help lead other people through that as well. So that's my experience with it.
I love that. And that really ties into that one sentence about serving as the powerful testimony to what is possible. So, Andrew, I'll reread it for you because I know you're just like me.
Yes.
Fear gives us the chance to act with courage. When we stand up, face what's wrong, and deal with it to the best of our ability, we may not feel very brave at all. But these are the moments at which we serve as the most powerful testimony to what is possible in NA. We're demonstrating strength of character. How do you see this as an opportunity for courage for you?
Wow, that's a great question, Milan. Fear has kept me from doing a lot of things in my life that I thought I was meant to do. You know, there's a couple of acronyms for fear that I heard early on. You can either fuck everything and recover, or what is it? Fuck everything and
Fuck
run, or
everything
face
and
everything. Fuck
yep,
everything and run, or face everything and recover.
boom.
And it's either one way or the other, man. I mean, you hit on it, Kalem, about that. You're sitting in the middle of the road and not knowing whether to go left or right. And we are masters of being able to sit right in the middle, right? Even though that bitch, it's harder to sit in the middle when you're getting pulled on each side. We want to sit. We will hold on for dear life, man, to that one difference, right? Instead of all these similarities. And so, I mean, even in life, I think about it. I think there's a point in everybody's life where there's like a junction, a Y in the road, if you will. And maybe it was our father, maybe it was somebody who was important to us that should have maybe nudged us in the right direction. And we didn't have that. I didn't, and if not, and if something on top of that, I had somebody people in my life that were pushing me in the other direction. So that's where I went. Right. And so, but I've also heard with the fear piece, another acronym is it's really just false evidence appearing real, right? And it's really in our minds, man. It's really in our minds, and it's how we come to the process of facing that fear, right? Because I heard a long time ago that God, God can move mountains, but you better bring a shovel, right? Like this is gonna be some work, man.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
so where's our fear coming from? The fear of the unknown, fear of social isolation, right? Because we can get back in that thing quick, right? The fear of negative emotions, right? We need to lean into the positive emotions, fear of failure, fear of change. We can really shut down real quick when it comes to that. No, and then it's how we address those fears, right? What do? We open up communication lines with each other, right? The best way out of my own head and my disease is a meaningful conversation with another addict. And if I can have a meaningful conversation with 20 at the same time, come on. So it's mindful practices, focusing on like the positive aspects of recovery, not the negative shit, because we're used to doing that, right? We're working on step work, hopefully. So we're working on the opposite of those things that we're not good at, right? And so all that shit builds on each other, right? Developing healthy coping mechanisms, right? Like we have to stay in the positive, man, because once we get in that negative lane, bro, good luck getting me out of there. Right. Once I've signed up to be in that lane, good luck getting me out. You're gonna need a bunch of people to come pull my ass out, because I didn't realize how far I'm getting myself into, and I can get there so quick. I don't care. 32 years clean, living up under a bridge. Like that, man, off some back rub, because it had some CBD in it, and then some other shit. She's eating alcoholic ice pops by the end of it. Like, get the fuck out of here, right? So I have to stay tapped into this fellowship, because if not, I'm not going to hear those stories. I'm not going to hear that shit, and I'm not going to go, okay, it can happen to me too. I'm 3 years clean, but like, I've got it. No, you never got this thing, man. You never got this thing. So I've got to stay tapped in to the good shit, man. That triangle of self-obsession, right? I don't want to be in that resentment, anger, and fear. I want to replace it with the acceptance, the love, and the faith, and I'm good. I'm gonna be all right.
I want to touch on something before I lose it on there. That's a great point, because yes, we talk about overcoming fear, but I want to also bring out and very importantly point out that there is such thing as a healthy fear. Like for me in my faith, it talks about casting away all fear, but then it also talks about having a fear of the Lord. Now the fear of the Lord, it's not like I'm afraid of him, but I'm afraid of being away from him. It's that understanding that awareness and the humbleness, like you're saying, realizing that I don't have it, and having that fear that if I do get too big headed, that I know where I can end up. I know I can end up in some sort of desert, some sort of wherever.
Remain humble. Remain humble, guys.
Yeah.
Teachable. As soon as we got this thing figured out, we are done. As soon as you go, man, I can only go to in-person meetings. I'm not going to get on Zoom to hear the message. You're done. You're done. You have to remain fluid, man. This disease cannot hit a moving target. You have got to stay moving. And so complacency will kick that ass quicker than anything, man. If you're dealing with some complacency, my sponsor says, come place that ass in the seat. Right? Complacency, come place that ass in the seat, right? Like if you're complacency, come place that ass in the seat. And he just says it in a way where it's like the same thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come place ass in the seat, man. Because we're taking our character defects, and what we're doing, we're turning them into defects with character. That's what we're trying to do here. So we're not assholes, man. Awesome. So like I try to, man, I'm stressed out anyways. So I have to stay in my actions positive, because once I get into a negative situation, I go hard as fuck on that situation, right? Because I'm trying to stomp it out, or it just does. As we're coming out of this thing, and it's gotten easier to remain that humble, teachable person that I want to be, but easier said than done. That's why we got to stay in the therapeutic value, guys, of one addict helping another's without parallel. When we're on here talking, I'm not worrying about what time it is. We're just doing it. We're talking about our problems, and we're getting better, and you can't put a price on that. You can't put a price on that.
And it is all about practice.
Everything.
Absolutely.
Practice.
Yeah.
So, when I saw that little quote, the first thing that kind of came to my mind was early in my recovery. I've said it on this podcast before, but I felt like in the first week or two that I was in, it was probably the first week and a half that I was in treatment. I feel like I still had the reservation. Like, if my mom dies with her cancer, like, that's going to be like my one thing that I would go use. And like right away, like, 8 days after I got into there, boom, this guy comes into the meeting. He had just lost his mom that week to cancer. He was
Come
talking
on.
about how proud he was for her, like how happy she was to see him die, like while she was dying, him being clean, how proud he was to have done that.
Come
And
on.
how everybody in the program has rallied, around him during that period. And even like, man, he had like 3 trucks and 8 volunteers from that home group go to help him clean out his mom's place because he couldn't do it alone, you know? And I don't know, I almost started crying there for some reason, but
Come on.
that was
Let it go.
it was a really touching thing to see. It was a
Yeah.
really touching thing to see, man. And and it showed me, like when he stood up, when he faced what was wrong, when he dealt with it the best of his ability, like he was just trying to survive. He wasn't trying to feel brave, you know. For me, it was like it was a lot of fucking hope right in that minute, right in that minute, And it was also like, hey, man, somebody else can do this. I can do this. That doesn't have to be my out. I don't have to have that reservation, Like a
That,
reservation's only one if you believe in it. It's kind of like a ghost, like
and that's why I hold on.
Mindfulness.
That's why I hold on to the acronym for hope on hearing other people's experience, because it quite literally is in those moments where you get the greatest hope you've
it
ever had.
100%
Hold on,
was.
pain ends. Hold on, pain ends.
Yeah,
Hearing other
well,
people's
absolutely.
experience, escaping hell on planet Earth. Come on.
Yeah. And like I obviously haven't had that moment to like exercise my muscle of whether I'm being brave in that moment or not, but I really believe now that I can.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
having that faith going into it versus like having like the reservation
Hopelessness.
to get out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You,
like, and so it's just like 100% turnaround in where
That's so
my
good.
inner strength is. Like, that's for me, that's what I'm rolling it into, that inner strength. And it's just like, instead of letting fear destroy my emotional sobriety by taking me out of presence forever on that reservation, because keeping that reservation keeps part of me from the present at every moment of my life.
yeah.
Every reservation you have steals part of your presence. And
Mm-hmm.
there's no other way around it, because it's just like some part of you is not living here if it's got that expectation on the future.
Future. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like it's gone. And
Yep.
so then there, you can't have any strength, and you can't have any strength of connection with your higher power if you're not here, because that only happens in the present moment.
And then
And you gain
present.
more self-awareness at that time. Like as you're doing
That's
it, you're
right.
gaining more self-awareness. And what do we talk about? We can only give each other those two spiritual principles, hope and love. And you were given that hope, right? You got that hope shot. And that's
That's
what you
right.
needed at that point. And you go and you grew.
Yeah. Although I gotta
And
say, sometimes I feel like people can open my mind.
yeah.
They can't give me open-mindedness, but they certainly can open my mind.
They can certainly hit me over the head with a rock and open my mind. Yes.
um,
Like I just feel like I hear some things and I'm like,
And you go,
holy
"Doom."
shit, did that ever open my mind in a new direction?
Thank you for hitting my head and cracking my head
Yep.
open, sir. Thank you.
I
Okay, so
want to. I want
Caleb, do
to.
you
I
have a
want. I want
question
to.
to?
No.
You can
I
wrap it
at
up and then
first.
you ask Andrew. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
go.
So the one thing that you were talking about is the importance of us sharing. That is so important. The importance of us sharing not just the good times, but also the hard times, because, like you were saying, you had a reservation that if you lost your mother, that'd be it. And then like days later, come across some guy that just lost his mom and gave you that hope through experiencing his sharing in those hard times. For me, I had a reservation, bro. I got into the program and I was like, I'm not done drugs. I'm tired of my life, so I'm gonna get my life back on track. In about a year and a half, I'm gonna go back to selling drugs. I'm gonna go
Be a
back
good
to
drug dealer. I'll be a good drug
smoking.
dealer, not an
Yeah,
asshole drug dealer. Now.
right. And kids, you know, it was like a week or two later, I went to camp out, and now what is one of my good friends in recovery went and told my story, man. Like he went and did that exact same thing that I was thinking and that I had reservations of, and it didn't go well. And you know, so one good thing that I have gotten from the program too is that I've learned to learn from other people's mistakes, not just continually
Ooh-wee.
not just be like, no, I'll go learn it for myself. No, I can take a brother's mistakes and learn from it as well.
Taking my
So
ball and going home, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I gotta think of a question here.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ask Andrew, and then we keep that order.
keep it going. Okay. So Andrew, I guess let's get personal. That way people can possibly find some relation. What was a time in your life where you were going through one of your hardest moments? Because I kind of shared a little bit about what I've just been going through, and I guess that's kind of my answer to this question. But for you, what is one of the harder moments that you've had to face emotionally and all? And then what did you do to find that inner strength?
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So it's about. I'm trying to think of a good one here. Um. Loss of loved ones is tough, man. But when we come out, I'll keep it on me and I'll keep it personal. When I got clean, I didn't want to realize some of the main aspects of life, right? What are some of those main aspects? We all die. There's certain things that we are going to do. We know that are going to happen. And so when as you grow up, we have people that become very special in our lives, family members, actual family members, ones that we choose and ones that we don't. And there's a couple people I think y'all can relate where I remember laying there at night as a child thinking that I couldn't see myself living without this person in my life. Your mother, your father, things like that. Those real special people to you. And so I was told a couple things when you get in recovery, two things are going to happen. If you stay clean long enough, someone will owe you money, which is kind of funny, and you're going to lose people that you love, right? And so those first couple of losses, right? And I even put it in a couple different layers where it's almost harder to lose somebody still living that you have to push away than the ones that actually, and I don't mean that literally, but I mean that in our heads, right? Because they're still there,
Oh, I get that, man.
bro, and that shit will eat you alive, man. Because what we will get so wrapped up in what they're thinking or like their head. We're and we don't even know. They probably haven't even thought about us in 3 months, 6 months. But we are so wrapped up in our own emotions, in our own head, and our thought about what they're thinking, man. Bro, it'll send us back out. That shit will send us back out, depending on who that person is and
100%.
what their relationship is to us. It's so tough, man. It's so tough. So I have to recognize, like, when I get in that headspace, what do, man? I come on here. You hit on the honest shit. Look, honest sharing, it says in our literature, is the antidote to our
Antidote.
disease thinking.
Yeah, come
Right?
on.
It also says that, look, my God speaks through people. My
Mm-hmm.
God speaks through people. And one of the highest forms of prayer in our service is honest sharing in a meeting at a group level.
Come on. Yeah.
Because if we're being honest, we're channeling that conscious contact, and then we're getting it out there on paper. We're getting it out there for us to feel better, right? And then not only that, guys, that's how this thing works. Is you might help somebody else out that's listening.
That might be a little too scared to share that.
that might be a little too scared to share that, or just hadn't thought about that today and was wrapped up
Mm-hmm.
in what we're just talking about. They're wrapped up in
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's head, right? But then you
Mm-hmm.
talk about it in a meeting and it brings them right back to like, fuck, that's where I just was.
Crack
Like
the head
when
open.
you say, look, hit him with a head with a rock, right? Milan, like you were just talking
Yeah.
about, I came across at a meeting level, talked about my share, and you're in your own shit, and I just cracked you upside your head with a rock, man.
Yep.
And said, look, come on, bring it back home here, because we're out here quick, man. But like, as long as we don't stay out there long enough to go use it, staying clean must come first, because we can always get off that ledge, man. If we start using, who God knows, you might not see me again.
Yeah. 100%.
I can't risk that. So it's about the preventive maintenance program, your pre-lapse maintenance that you were talking about, Milan. I have to stay physically fit, spiritually fit, emotionally fit. Every decision I make comes down to step 1, 2, and 3. I got to surrender, identify, and I got to turn it over. And I got to let it be, man. I got to control what I can, let it go what I can't, and then move on, man, because I'm going to get stuck. I'm so self-obsessed that I will go so fast, even though everything has been going right for 32 years. I'm gonna go. I think it's better for me to drink some alcohol and do a little bit of drugs, and then I'm gonna go live under. Like, we're not right in the head, man. It's a disease. We didn't choose to do that. An addict not using is in an abnormal state. So if I'm not doing shit to keep my mind off using, good luck. For me, I'm done. Gotta stay active, gotta stay enthusiastic about this thing, man, or I'm done.
I mean, that's the thing. Where does the disease do its most battling? In our souls.
Mine?
Yeah.
Or yours? Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just it wars in our souls, our minds, our emotions, and our wills and desires. That's where it wars against.
It's a constant tug of war, man. It's a constant tug of war, and we're the rope, right? Like, we're the rope. So you think about, you get a bunch of people on one side, and you get a bunch of people on the other side, and how, imagine the tension in that rope, man, before it snaps. Like, that's an addict's mind all the time. We're there all the time. We're right at that breaking point, right before that shit snaps. That is right where we're at. Like, we're either gonna go this way or we're gonna go this way, right? Yeah. And then we might be able to get one more tug of war out of this rope before it snaps, right? Because we made it through this war. We made it through the war without it snapping this time. But I have to stay remembering I can't. It's really easy for me to go out of this place thinking about how quick and simple and fun that first one is. If I don't remain thinking about that last one where I'm on the floor of an ambulance or wherever that last one was, we can glorify that first one really easy, and you might not get a second chance, man.
Gotta renew that rope.
Gotta renew that. Even if you gotta look, let's take a week off from the tug of wars and let's wrap this one up. Go give that to Goodwill and go buy a new rope. Look, invest in a new rope so we can live for another year and not have to worry about, hey, is it gonna happen at the end of this one? No, we don't want to be like, look, is it this time? Is it gonna happen? No, man. Like, let's stay fucking spiritually, emotionally, like, let's stay tapped in, because don't let me get off, man, because it might not find me. I don't have a GPS or an Apple AirTag attached to me. Once I start using it, you can't find me. You won't be able to find
Incognito.
me, right? Look, like I will fall off quick, man. My Facebook will be deleted. You won't even find me. You don't look for me, right? So that's just our disease, man. It's a disease of dis-ease. It's a dis-ease way of thinking, but we talk about it all the time, Kalem. This is the only disease when you treat it properly, which we are. This is what we're doing, is treating it in recovery. It leaves us in a better position than if we even had the damn disease to begin with. So I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna run on that one. I'm gonna run with that till the cows come home. I'm gonna run with that one. Prove me wrong on that one, because I'm only getting positive feedback as the more and more clean time I get, because I'm doing the right shit. So challenge me on that one, because if you can challenge me on that one, then I have some more room to grow. There's some more fear that's coming. There's some fear. So you're teaching me that I gotta push through something else if you're gonna challenge me on what I just said. Please. please. I haven't had anybody. I haven't had anybody be able to come up with something yet, and so I gotta stay tapped into what I can't explain.
Mm-hmm.
And what I can't explain is everything is better when I stay clean. There's nothing that gets better when I put drugs on anything. There's not a situation or a person in this world that has ever explained to me that, hey, man, I put drugs on this thing and it got better. Long term, short term, no,
Yeah.
doesn't happen. Fuck drugs. You know what I'm saying? Let's go fuck drugs. Hashtag fuck drugs. Come on, we need bumper stickers on this episode. Let's do this. I don't care, man. You know, as long as it ain't negative, let's go. I'm down. Look, sign me up.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
I like that's a great question. I don't even know if that answered your question.
Yeah,
It's a great open discussion. But look, I've lost some people, man. I've lost people in my family since I've gotten clean. I've lost people in my chosen family now, and it's been really tough, man. It's really made me an emotional person. But where my mind goes to is when I was early on in meetings in my recovery, I would hear people who had years clean, and they would come on and cry about their loved ones and their husbands dying and their families dying, and they went, you know what? And the last thing I wanted to do was use.
That's right. That's good. The inner strength.
And I would go, okay. Okay, because I don't care what happens to me right now. I think about, like, you know, I'm not married right at the moment. So I think about myself going, hey, if I was married to somebody for 20 years and I lost them and then I stayed clean, there's nothing that can happen in my life right now that would be worse than that lady, what she just went through. So I don't care what hits me in the day, my mind's gonna go, it's not that as bad as her.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be I know as long as I stay clean, I can be that person one day if I choose to. It's all about being mindful though, man. I gotta stay mindful and I gotta stay tapped in, man, because if again, as soon as I got to figure it out, I'm done. I'm done.
Milan, what about you, bro?
There's only one answer to this one. No, this is the one that my mind immediately went there. It was, you know, coming out of doing my second step 5 in July, and finding out that my daughter has cancer, dude.
I remember that.
Yeah. There's no other bigger bomb that you know, that could be dropped in my life, and that question's still not answered, and we're still dealing with really shitty medical service. So the entire process has been nothing but the largest test of acceptance of anything that I've ever conceived of. You know, it has been hard. It's been challenging. It's been frustrating, and I'm powerless inside it. You know, like, I am not an oncologist. I have no strings to pull in our fucked up medical system that Canada has. Anybody out there who's in the medical system listening, I don't blame you for a broken system. I need you to know that the doctors and nurses and technicians out there, I love you. But our system is fucked for people and wait times who are loved ones dying. And I don't care. I don't care. I'm not afraid to state that fact. And, you know, and you can obviously see that I still have some resentment about it. So acceptance isn't fully there, you know, but you know,
it'll come.
But without where I've been inside the steps, it would have been a lot worse. It would have resulted in a fuck it moment, you know, like that would be like my grand, like toot Milan's the engineer on the train going to Fucketville. Like, you know, everybody aboard. This train only goes one direction on the track. You know, like, and the reality is that her sickness isn't me, and it's not about me.
Yeah, that's right.
And I have no ability to facilitate her life or her experience if I'm fucked up.
That's right.
So the only thing I can do is have the inner strength not to let that derail me.
Wow.
Got to be there for.
That's hard.
And that's 100%, you know, for me, it's just where it is. And, you know, it might not be a very long answer, but it is the truth.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yep.
That's a deep answer. So
it's not about us anymore, guys. It's not about us anymore. One way or another, we have to get out of our own self-obsession, man. Anger, resentment, and fear,
Mm.
man, it gets replaced. It gets replaced, man. We talk about it all the time. Acceptance, faith, and love, man. Acceptance, faith, and love is a way better avenue than resentment, anger, and fear. It's a way better
Yep.
plate to be munching on than the resentment, anger, and fear is the love,
Bitter.
acceptance, and faith. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Love
And
it, dude.
Kalem, you want to answer your question? Or you feel that you did already?
I feel like I already did, but like I guess I'll just quickly brush on it again just in case. Right now, right very now is been my hardest moment in recovery. It's actually if I'm being fully honest, it's been the hardest moment in my life yet. Um because and I'm going to be transparent, but I've lost my grandmother who was my rock. I've lost my mother. I hadn't had my father. I've had all these things. Lost custody of my kids, which is very, very devastating as well. But as of right now, like my wife has gone back out into addiction, and not only that, she's gone 2 provinces over and decided that she wanted to try to do it her own way and her own self, and figured that it's better for her over there. And warring, bro, like emotionally, I just been through some healing where I just completely, finally opened up my heart. And you know what? I realized there's been a lot of strength and growth in me through this. It hasn't been more so about her. It's been more like we were talking about, self-reflecting. I've seen where I've been unfaithful because I held unforgiveness and bitterness towards her through something that happened years and years ago. And so I realized that unfaithfulness towards her just by that. Some people will be like, "Oh, well, you didn't cheat on her." No, it doesn't matter. I didn't have my heart open to her, and that was being unfaithful to her. And that's for me to own. I own that, right? And that's my choice. I choose to own that because to me that's truth. I should have had my heart open. Now I reopened my heart, but then all of a sudden things just took a deep dive in the whole situation, and I'm not gonna openly discuss any of that kind of stuff, but it got heavier, man, emotionally. 100%. I spent a week weeping for my wife. I spent a week weeping, not just weeping for my wife because of the pain and the suffering. And I just saw what she was really going through herself. But all of a sudden I began having again, more heartbreak because I just opened that wound, a deep wound in my heart. I just reopened it, and then it just gets gashed again. And so I spent that week weeping over my pain and my broken heart over the whole situation and over her. And then, man, I kid you not, there's no heavier feeling than a broken heart. I had that. The weight of it's just right. And the beautiful thing is again, instead of burying my head in the sand and going playing video games and stuff that I normally would do, no, I wouldn't go use drugs today, but I definitely would go and indulge myself in playing video games to the point where I escape it no different than I was on drugs. And I think that's very important to
Y'all
speak.
got kids? Y'all got
Yeah,
kids too, right? How
yeah,
many?
we
How
got
many?
four.
Yeah. I knew.
We
See, I
got
was just yeah.
four.
That's your invest. That's it's
And
tough,
it's
man.
it's it's been really tough. But instead of burying my head down in the sand, bro, I pressed into my higher power, my God of my understanding. I pressed into him because I know that's what he wants me to do. You hear the saying, "Oh, God doesn't give me more than what I can handle." That is a load of crap. And I'm sorry, I'm going to
I
put it
agree.
on like this. He gives us more than what we can handle so we can learn to lean on him and rely on him. And I did that. And he said, "Give me your heart and I will guard it. I won't bring that kind of pain. I won't break your heart like that." And the moment I just said, like, it was like a sigh of relief because I was like, take it, because I'd just been beaten up all week. I gave it to him, and all of a sudden, he lifted everything completely off of me, and I no longer had that heaviness.
Hey, why? I love that you said that, because I disagree with that statement too. If God didn't give us more than we can handle, why do we need to pray to Him all the time?
Come on, right? Like, that's
Why do we need, if he already gave us what we needed to handle, then why do I? But and so I'm okay with that. Look,
yeah,
because I've really gotten comfortable with the prayer part, man. The prayer
yeah.
You
piece
know
has
what,
gotten
Caleb?
really good to me.
Caleb, I just want to say two things. I love you excessively, and I'm grateful that
Yeah,
you
I love
reached
you,
out
bro.
when you were ready. And the second thing is you literally experienced a step one of your heart with God.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you did a surrender. All that
Yeah.
insanity of your pain, you surrendered to Him, just like this insanity of the addiction. And
Mm-hmm.
it just really shows to me how the tools are bringing fruit to your life.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
I believe that, like, it doesn't make sense in the natural state that you could be going through your hardest time in your life, yet experience some of the greatest and most fruitful things that you've really ever experienced too at the same time, right? And that, to me, that is the work of, for me, that is the work of God. Only He can take something that is looking disastrous, and through even steps, the program and everything like that, like we were talking about, the spiritual principles, uh applying spiritual principles to your life will cause fruit to grow, and not only grow, but show its luscious, delicious, beautiful side of it in a drought, right? It's drought season, bro. Like, I was going through it. It felt like drought. There was no, but somehow there's still fruit bearing off of trees. Like, it's a beautiful thing. It really is, because again, I can't change anything that's going on with her. I can't force her to do anything. I can't force her to stay. The only thing I can do is allow myself to grow and see what areas I need to work on through this. And that's all it's been. Like I
Let
said,
go and let God, man. Let go and let God.
let go and let God. Like, some of the biggest things, like I said, I didn't see myself as unfaithful. And I was crying out to God. I was like, God, I haven't been unfaithful. How come now, this, and that? And He is like, but you have been unfaithful, because you held that grudge in your heart towards her. And He said, that's truthfully, that is being unfaithful, whether you want to think so or not. And it cut me so very deep, because I
Slice.
was sliced. But you know what? I'm very grateful, because I believe that, for myself, anyways, I believe that God will only correct those He loves. And He corrects me because He loves me and wants the best for me, and wants the best for my wife, regardless what she chooses or what she doesn't choose. The thing is through this all, whether, things work out and we remain together or we don't, I'm going to be a better man at the end of this, and I can provide and be a better husband and a better father through it as well. So I'm super grateful for it as well.
And you know how you know He's got your best interest at heart is because one of those prayers hit in your direction and you're sitting in this room right now, right?
Mm,
And what you're
mm,
talking about reminds me of something. Like, we can either make ourselves miserable or we can make ourselves strong. Like, the amount of work is the exact same.
exactly.
Exact same.
you got a
So
question for me, Andrew?
I do. I do. So what are your strategies for bouncing back from setbacks? What's your strategies, and how do you define success in your life? Kind of in 2 and 1 on that. Does that make sense? So what's your
Yep.
strategy for bouncing back from setbacks, and how do you define success as it relates to that in your life?
So, I think now it's pretty safe to say that I'm definitely looking at whatever setback it is, whether it's an emotional, whether it's a physical, whether it's a spiritual one. And I'm kind of like taking it through my little mini step 4 or like a step 10 at some point in my day where, what was my part in that, right? What fear is that? And, I'm trying to implement, kind of what I heard the other month there, of using my emotions and my defects and my fears as direction signposts of where I need to go. And so what I've been trying to do, and like I said earlier, is that I've been doing a lot of praying during my swimming and exercising, but I'm also using those moments as reflection. And so that's kind of where I've been, finding enough peace for me to stop and without anybody else interacting with me in those moments, that I'm just kind of digging deeper inside myself. And so, like, I mean, I could beat myself up all day about stuff. And it's just like you said, like, that's just going to take me to a pity party there. It's not going to bring any growth, right? So, I've got to apologize when I feel, when I feel like an amends needs to be made. But most of all is that I have to keep trying to change my behavior because, like, I'm for sure still acting in a lot of old behaviors. But, I am bringing that awareness into it. And that awareness is bringing an attempt to change my action. And that's okay. Like, I don't, man, I see it's really easy for me to accept other people's imperfections versus my own. And like, as weird as that sounds, you'd think that you would have a greater, higher expectation level on others than yourself. Not so in my case, for sure. Like, I am hard on myself when I am failing at my goals and efforts. And so it's coming to terms with, having enough of a positive spin on that moral inventory on myself that I can turn it just that little bit. And
I wonder if that comes a little bit from, because I feel that. I wonder if that
mm,
comes from a little bit of where we understand that we can't control anybody but ourselves, so we accept other people for their failures or whatever they're going through. But for us, we're like,
mm,
we can only control ourselves, so we be harder on ourselves, not
sure.
actually accepting the situations sometimes.
I don't have the expectation that other people are going to strive to grow. I do for sure carry the hope
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm going to have some really miserable relationships in 20 years.
Look, if I'm focusing on your problems, I'm gonna continue to suffer, right? But if I'm
Yeah.
focusing on my problems, I'm gonna continue to recover, right? Like
Mhm.
like my
Yeah.
my my my, my sponsor
Yeah.
tells me if you're actively worrying about other people's issues, you're working on a relapse. You're actively
Mhm.
working towards a
Yeah.
relapse if you're worrying about other people's
Mm,
issues, right? And then that gets into
mm,
like the whole sub people pleasing, which is one of the highest forms of dishonesty, self dishonesty, right? Is people pleasing. We're trying to people please to make ourselves look better in your eyes. Why?
Yeah.
mm.
So that you feel better about me when I'm just going about my day? Like, how's that going to help me? It's not going to help me. It's not doing anything for me. Right. And we'll get wrapped up in that shit. Because why? Because it gets us out of our head. It's part of our disease, I think, is going there quick. So that's a great point. Well, I love you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if what was the second half of the question? I think I
How do
was
you define
really
success for yourself?
addressing on. So for me, a successful day is sticking to my program, like seriously, getting up at the right time, taking my dogs out, exercising, taking them for their walk, getting to record a song, having a podcast, having a good relationship with those around me, rinse and repeat. I'm like a meeting somewhere either in the morning or night. And and that's really like success for me is getting through a day like that. Like
And I love this podcast because this is a follow-up question on that. How do you when you think about success, is it a daily thing for you, or is it like a long-term thing, right? Like when you define success in
One
your
and
head,
done.
is it staying successful just for today and a just for today program, or are you
It's
talking
this. It's this feeling in when someone says, "How was your day?" and I could turn to them and be like,
no thought, no thought,
"Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious," like
and just smile? Yeah,
where I'm just like I have just that right buoyancy inside my heart, and I'm like, okay, like that's
serenity.
like like I don't man, I just feel really lucky to have the opportunity to still be on this planet
And,
and to
and
still have the chance to be growing. And like it all could have stopped 16 months and 11 days ago, and that could have been it. And there'd be 1,300 and something less songs, no podcast,
oh yeah,
and no brotherhood right here, for
bro.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want me to ask you, Caleb? I'll kind of refresh
Yeah.
it to you.
Yeah.
So what is your strategy for bouncing back from setbacks? And then kind of on the second note, and I'll ask again if you need me to, how do you define success for yourself? So
I
what's your
remember
strategy
that
for
one.
bouncing back from setbacks?
So for me, what I've grown to understand and realize is if I got a setback, it is more than likely because I have a broken perception on what I'm facing. Whether that be maybe I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I'm not actually in God's will for my life. And I'm fighting and swimming against the grain. And that to me, that's a setback, right? Or maybe I get setbacks because I've made poor decisions on how I've handled things. So I get a setback where I get to, again, deal with it again. And it keeps happening. It keeps coming, it's like a cycle, it keeps coming up, right? They keep having these setbacks, and then eventually one of these times I might be like, okay, God, I see what you're doing. I'm gonna do it your way, the way you want
I
me
see
to
you,
do
player. I see you.
it. Yeah, I don't want to continue in this cycle anymore. I want to move past this, so I'll do it your way, so that way I can move past these setbacks. So to me, that's really all it is changing my perception. A lot of times I got a very, very narrow vision compared to what God can see. And so, if I'm not looking to him for guidance through my things, then a lot of times I can miss things. So, and
Yeah.
then for the success, honestly, and I'm fine with it. I know a lot of people might think it's corny, and I'm good. To me, I define success if I make it through a day and I know that I please God. The reason for that is it's not like I know there's some different organizations out there that can really twist things up and different things like that. But for me, if I'm actually pleasing God and following his will for me in my life, I'm actually being of service to my family. I'm, biggest service that I have, and we kind of talked about it in previous ones, is the service to my wife, service to my family. And if I'm actually pleasing God and what he wants me to do, I truly believe like I'm doing those things. I'm going outside of myself to go help my neighbor. I'm serving. I'm actually loving people, not just serving people. I'm loving people. I'm serving them because I love them. And it's honestly, that's the only way I feel I could really gauge success, because uh I really strongly believe that God's will for me in my life is that he cares more than I do for my own life. And he knows more than I do for my own self. And um, so honestly, that I couldn't get it. It couldn't be any more successful to me than doing what's pleasing to him. So
Love it. I love that, man. I love that.
Beautiful.
So yeah, man. So building, what is my strategy for coming back from those things? It's about, building my inner strength, right? And having the ability to like respond to situations with compassionately, like in a compassionate way, man. Like I have to, I used to shut down when positive things would come to my doorstep because I was always doing the wrong shit. Right? When you're always doing the wrong shit, when positive things come your way, you don't want any part of it. I didn't. So it's about
Don't
being,
feel worthy.
Yeah, don't feel worthy, right? So
Yeah.
I gotta be mindful when I'm practicing like self-reflection, right? I gotta reflect on who I am as a person, what my values are, what are my core values in this situation, right? How am I gonna practice mindfulness going forward in that situation, right? Because if I'm not mindful, um, I'm out of my will, right? I'm going back into that self-will, and that's not the place for me, right? So I have to, and I have to be able to set main realistic goals, right? As a human being, I have to have things that I strive to do, but I can't have these lofty goals. I remember being in active addiction and having such lofty goals, right? Being in the NBA, I'm gonna play in the NBA. I'm gonna be a millionaire with the hottest wife in the world and never any problems. I'm never gonna get sick, right? Nothing's ever gonna happen wrong to me. I'm never gonna get in an accident, right? Like, and that's just, as I think the more and more I got into my active addiction, the more and more it was like all of the what if this happens was gone, right? I'm just on a highway to hell at this point. I'm burning the shit down, I'm burning everything down around me as I'm going over the bridge. I'm just lighting the shit up with a flamethrower behind me, like just blame throwing my ass off. And then when the shit stops, right, and the end of when that road hits and there's no more road to travel, that's when we come to that point in the road where you're like, okay, I gotta get to know this person now, this person, this one. Milan, he went to go do his step 4 and he thought that there was going to be this line of people to say, I'm sorry, Milan, I'm sorry, Milan, I'm sorry, Milan, and he got hit. He was getting constantly bricked over the head by like, oh,
off.
it's me. Oh shit, you're talking to me. Hold on, you talking to me? It was me. So, but what that does, right? What's that allow us to do? It allows us to know that building, that step 4 building, we're not going to go back in that thing. I don't want to step foot back in that store, right? Because I know when I go in that store, I'm going to smell it, feel it. There's going to be boogeymen. There's going to be all this shit. And I'm going to back right the fuck out of that store immediately, right? And then I'm going to shut the door and I'm going to go, wow. Right, there's that.
Not the boogies.
It's that breath that you just did, Milan. It's that. Look, lock the door and then sit back and then sit back outside of that building and go and just look at it and go, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going there again, bro, because I don't like a headache every day, right? I don't like chaos and not having a driver's license. I don't like being able to go to a doctor because I don't have health insurance in the job.
Come on. Yeah.
I don't not like to do those things, right? I freedom, choices, man. I got a choice to be a healthy individual today, man. When I use drugs, I don't have that choice. I don't have, the choices are completely null and void when I start using drugs. The choice is the drug has the choice over me. And so I'm able to look, one day clean is a miracle, man. But look, yesterday's shower does not keep me clean today.
That's right.
I got to stay clean I got to get up, get my ass in the shower. I know I might not be feeling good today, but I got to get cleaned off today. And I also know that when it's raining outside, guys, like not every storm comes to flood the shit out, right? Not every storm comes to cause an earthquake and a tsunami and wipe the whole planet off, right? Some storms come to cleanse us, man. That light rain feels good sometimes.
Pay that rent.
Pay that rent. Look, rent's due every day, guys. You got to pay your rent every day. I remember being in active addiction, and my father was one of my running partners. It was time to pay the rent, like it was like the monthly rent. He yells at me. He's like, "Bro, I just paid that bill last month." Motherfuckers, I just paid that bill last month, bro. Like, why are they calling me? And I'm like, Dad, what do you mean you just paid that bill last month? We're sitting out. We're like, we have all of our shit moved. We got everything on the front porch moving out of this bitch. And he's like, motherfuckers, I just paid that bill last month.
Shoot.
I told him not to call me, and me and my guy are sitting there like, did he just say what I think he just said? Say that again. You just made that. We gotta pay our bills every month, every day. You know, if you have a monthly rent due, then put that into 30 payments. That's your daily rent.
Yeah, come on.
Gotta pay that shit, man. Or do you want to live under a bridge? No.
No.
Jails, institutions, or death? No. So I got to go the other way with it, man, because I got to pay that bill again, man. Look, when they call me, I got to pay that bill, man, because I did. Yes, we just paid that bill last month, but bro, I've been working every day, so I can pay that bill again this month. Man. I don't got to run from that bill and go max out a credit card that I didn't even have a credit to get anyways. Go max out a Sears credit card to get my groceries, and then pay 20% interest on it in 10 years when I'm bankrupt, because it's a disease. It's a disease, man.
Yeah.
Gotta stop using drugs, get better, man. So
well, I wasn't expecting to do this podcast today, so I've got to call it short here at this point today.
It hasn't been short, bro.
I do want to say though that first of all, it's been really nice to have the three of us back together again. I've missed that dynamic, and that I love you both.
Three Musketeers, love y'all both.
Love you both. Yeah.
Hey, and guess what? I love you.
Tell me.
Tune in next time for more recovery.
Love you guys.
Please help us help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.